Unfinished business.
Unsafe structure demolition. So last year, after I think it took quite some time to put it all together and come up with a list, we came up with a list, and I can't remember exactly, perhaps you can refresh my memory. There were 6 or 8 properties, I believe, that we were initially considering for demolition. My understanding that then the short list became 4, the semi-short list became, I think, 4 properties, and 2 of those property owners then said, don't worry, we'll take care of it ourselves. And so we ended up only demolishing 2 of them. It's my opinion that I think there's still quite a few more properties that could, would, should be taken care of demolition style within the village. And I was just wondering if we, either through our attorney services or otherwise, have revisited this topic and are having any more properties in mind to pursue demolition of.
The building inspector and the code enforcement gentlemen, they are working on some things, but like the previous property was a slow process. This is also a slow process. You know, we have to send out certified letters and time to respond. And with the last group, one of the individuals actually he submitted a set of plans and pulled a building permit. So that took him out for this. The funeral home operator has been unable to contact. He has yet to accept a certified letter, so eventually we will probably have to go into circuit court on him. There's a house at the corner of Elk and Main that the owner is currently doing something in there. Looks like crap on the outside, but he's slowly but surely doing something. So, you know, between the code enforcement guy and the building inspector, they're on top of it.
Could, and perhaps I could just ask, as a follow-up, I can ask either the code inspector or the attorney. But could it be requested this time that all of council kind of get a brief summary of where we stand on these? Because I think there's quite a few. And it was nice to see a couple of them come down. I drove by and I said, holy smokes, that looks infinitely times better. There's a few, and the one I understand is building permit.
2nd Street?
Yeah. But no, and especially the big one that the other big one that you just mentioned is the funeral home. Absolutely, 100%. They were on the list. So whether or not he responded or not, there's got to be something in the statute that says what course we have
We have to
if
go
he
into
doesn't
circuit court.
respond. So
We have to go into circuit court.
why doesn't should I make a motion right now that we do that? Because I would like to, okay.
Because it'll cost us money.
Yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine.
Before you do, if I may,
Yeah, sure.
whenever you're going to, and the constitutional term is take property from someone, it's always a problem. And let me caution you that property is almost always owned by people who vote. And judges are reluctant to take property unless our evidence is overwhelming, that every T's crossed and I dotted, and they still might not do it. So just a cautionary tale, I'm more than willing, and we'll get it done. But these judges hate doing it. But it's worth pursuing for the good of the community. We're more than happy to do it with that cautionary tale.
I do just want to stress that, we sent them multiple certified letters already. It's been over a year. The roof is collapsed visually from the outside.
That's going to be part of our argument, that it's starting to create a
It's
public.
been over a year, no response. I'm not trying to nitpick every single, most of them I can care less. There's that one and some concern on the one on 2nd Street, although I do have to say that I talked to a neighbor, and that particular neighbor, although acknowledging that other neighbors probably had differing views, that particular neighbor actually didn't mind it too much. She said that he's working at it. But again, I saw that property and it looked very little was changed since last year, but that's fine. But yeah, at least, at a minimum, right on Main Street, it's a large piece of property, it's right next to Haven Place. It looks like crap, it's right on Main Street, it's large, it's dilapidated, visually from the outside, you can see that it's already unsafe, it's already collapsed roof. We gotta do it. So yeah, I'll make that motion, at least for that property, yeah. I make a motion that we pursue, that we begin the process of taking action against, I don't have the exact address offhand, but
What files from circuit court?
yeah, the old funeral home in Circuit Court.
Second.
We probably moved and supported that we commence legal action against the owner of the funeral home, the old funeral home.
Question on the motion?
Roll, please.
Trustee Rankipo?
Yes.
Trustee Kreidler?
Yes.
Trustee McCauley?
Yes.
Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Hazia?
Yes.
President Milmer?
Yes. Item B.
E2, the Moore properties.
Good evening, my name is Dan Kress. Here representing Nor Properties agenda item. I own a company, Decrest Development. I'm in negotiations with a international company, Theracan, for the commercial grow of marijuana. My property, or the property, is in the southwest corner of the village. It's zone heavy industrial. I've sent all the board members, I hope you got everything that I sent. It's a substantial distance away from homes. I very much doubt most of the audience has been down Roselle Road and even knows that it's there. I've had the property for over 2 decades. It's been for sale. I've had listing agents look at it, and it is heavy industrial. One of the permitted uses for heavy industrial is for commercial greenhouse. So it really wouldn't be that much of a stretch, other than the fact that the village would have to either take action or put it on the ballot to approve commercial grow of medical marijuana. This company I'm in negotiations with, or discussions with, Theracan, is a international company that does large commercial grows. The article I sent you talks about a facility that they're trying to do in Kingsley, Michigan. It's a $20 million, 100,000 square foot building. And they were out to look at my property, and on a 3-acre parcel they could do the same thing. They could erect a 100,000 square foot building that would ultimately have a taxing value of $9.5 million. I really can't talk too much more about the particulars because I signed a non-disclosure and I'm in negotiations with them. But I'm just identifying to the board that if ultimately it'd be wonderful if we could take action and approve it. I understand the mood of the board is that the best chance I can hope for is putting it on the ballot for the citizens to decide. But I just want to let you know that opportunities like this are possible, and that's only one 3-acre portion of my 31 acres. So, and obviously, some people maybe haven't taken the time to educate themselves about the state law, the security, the background checks, the knowledge that this product that is grown, this medicine that's grown, is going to be transported somewhere for processing. That's the whole gist of the new law. It's not sold out the back door. It's tracked from seed to sale. So off of 26 Mile, more than likely it'll be shipped to some processing plant somewhere, unless we were to get one ourselves in the village. It had no connection to the dispensary, it's just a grow. That's a totally different item. So basically, I just want to let the board know that opportunities like this are there for us. I don't know. I already had one grower lined up a couple months ago, and he ended up going to Warren, because Warren is friendly to commercial grow in their industrial areas. I don't know if this company is going to be around. I don't know if they don't go to Kingsley, they're considering coming here. If they go to Kingsley, they might replicate it here. I mean, it's a business, and if they can profit, and we could have a building with a taxable value of $9.5 million and possibly bring 100 jobs per building. Even if we did one building down the road just for a trial case, I just want to let the board members know that there is the possibility for revenue for a commercial grow that's out of sight, out of mind, in an underutilized, underdeveloped part of the village that nobody really ever pays attention to. And that's pretty much it, unless there's answer any questions for you.
Questions? So you've owned the property for how long?
For 20 years.
And you've had how many interested parties come to make offers on that land?
Well, when I bought it, it used to be LNH Auto Parts. There's two separate parcels. I sold the road frontage parcel to Basic, the company that leases to Basic Metals, which is 2990121 Mile Road LLC, and I sold 3 acres to Joe Ballard Towing. So the frontage I sold off in 2008. I still hold the 31 acres out back, and I haven't had an interested party. The only interested party is potentially the scrapyard, who would expand on the 31 acres. I'm nestled between the scrapyard and the railroad, or technically the scrapyard and the cement processing facility.
Another question, I don't know if you're very familiar if they proposed a site plan, probably not, it sounds like they're more looking at the other municipality, and they're saying we can replicate it here, so they probably didn't make specific plans for the village. But in your communications with them, if you can disclose that, because you're saying you signed some sort of agreement with them, is that company interested and willing to agree to nondescript signage, possibly a berm from the street blocking through the warehouse?
If you were to, I failed to give you the parcel ID number in my email. I give you the parcel number. You can see. You can't. I guarantee you can't see my property. You've never seen it because it's secluded. I've got a deeded 50-foot easement off of 26 Mile Road. I don't even have road frontage on 26 Mile Road. I've got a deeded 50-foot easement for ingress, egress, and utilities back to the property. So you have to pull into the scrapyard parking lot, make a hard right, and there's a chain gate there currently. Obviously, it would be a more secure gate if there is some sort of facility there.
You know this is a Michigan company, or?
Then you've got the division I'm talking to is the United States division. The guy I'm talking to, who was in the news article, Mr. Goodman, he's the Michigan rep. He's the one that's handling Kingsley. Kingsley's got a host of other problems because from my understanding, once again, I'm going off the news article, I can't speak any more to it, is that they have to rezone the property. I don't know if it's agriculture right now, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but ours is heavy industrial. It's a permitted use for commercial greenhouses, and we would just have to follow the ordinance that the village creates.
No adjacent houses, churches,
No.
schools?
How far are you from Rogan Street?
From Rogan, probably 1,500 feet.
1,500 feet
Yeah.
from the street?
Yeah.
And how many houses are on the street?
That's Lennox Township, and I think there's probably 3 or 4 houses on there. But I've got a map I could share with council that has all the homes with radiuses drawn on them.
Like the house on 26 in Lennox and...
Exactly, and that doesn't go past the railroad tracks. The one talking about right next to the old bus yard. Yeah, that's still set back far enough from the property to utilize the property for commercial growth.
And I just want to know, at the rate, the current rate is 16.75 mils, if you multiply that by, I just rounded down to 9 million, because I think in the article said it was about 9.5 million. That, in my calculations, would equate to about $150,000 just to the village of taxes from that deal alone on 3 acres of industrially zoned property that's not adjacent to any schools, churches, or housing.
Yeah, that's one building. That's not including the kickback from the state for the product also.
Right, which I would actually be less than that, so.
So I just want, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, if I could just make a comment, you were talking about the municipality in Kingsley saying whether or not they decide. There was actually a follow-up article that was published in May where they had rejected the zoning ordinance and rejected the proposal for that company to come into Kingsley.
Yeah, because from my understanding, the zoning board, not the council, voted not to rezone the property. So.
And how many people did you say a facility like that would employ?
They project 100 people. And that's just one facility. I mean, if it was the pleasure of the board, if we could erect this and it worked, I mean, you could fit multiples, and also, you know, the concerns, I understand the concerns of the community regarding the smell and that sort of thing, that can all be addressed through an ordinance that you guys would draft.
If I could also make another comment too, I had actually talked to one of the Macomb County Sheriff's Department deputies about their stance on this. And while they were hesitant to be speaking on behalf of the Macomb County Sheriff's Department as a whole, the comment was that when you have marijuana being grown in the basement, as we all know happens, whether legally or illegally, it's more of an unknown. But when you have it grown in a warehouse, it's a known commodity, and there is the potential for it attracting crime and burglaries and so on and so forth. So just something to keep in mind, I feel that should be commented on, is that Macomb County Sheriff's Department, one of the deputies I talked to, they did, want to point out that that is a potential.
Yeah, and also there's been talk about litigation. Has to do with the current law and caregivers growing in rental houses and affecting their neighbors and that sort of thing. This is a totally different animal. We mean, there isn't any litigation because there isn't a commercial grow facility yet.
On that point, number one, do you really expect a uniformed sheriff's deputy to speak and actually say, yes, I think that would be a great idea? Number two, are you aware of the group, are you aware of the group called Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, composed entirely of law enforcement officers who are actually against the prohibition of marijuana? Are you aware of that?
Well,
So you spoke to one sheriff's deputy whose job is on the line if he were to, potentially job is on the line, if he were to support it, and you're using that as...
I'm using that as a basis to help form the opinion, sure.
On that note, because I was asked to ask that question, and and I asked it of someone up here, and the opinion, was quite similar. It's the unknown. They don't know what they're going to get into, and what it's going to attract, and is it going to cost the local municipality more money for service? And so it's.
I've shared articles online from, and it was a while back, almost 6 months ago when we last visited, in a particularly different manner. But I've shared them online. They're readily out there. You can find them. It was either a chief or a sheriff. I can't remember the exact formation of their department. But and that particular high up, any community that recently did legalize it said that it had not led to increase in crime. I shared that. It's there. You can look at it. I did my research on it. Anyway.
Talking about Colorado?
May or may not have been. I'm not sure this time. But I shared it at the time. And that's, again, from a law enforcement top of the, I don't know if, again, it's elected or appointed, but that was the chief or sheriff of that department who said that it had not, and again, been there, done that, said that it had not led to a significant, any, I believe. In fact, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe he alluded to the fact that it went down, I believe.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you for your time.
STE Construction.
Whoa. That was his agenda item. I think mine immediately follows it now. I'd like to make some
You
motions.
guys got it mixed up. You should have been down on the new business.
Yeah, I
You're
usually
still- you're still
mentioned
on
that was the
that.
medical marijuana bill codification discussion.
Oh, you mean,
Because we
okay,
moved
B.
that up to A2.
Oh, I thought you, okay, go on.
Well, that was B1.
We had that as A2,
Is it A2?
following unfinished business.
That being the case, motion ready. So I just want to specify, I'm about to make a couple motions, two of which, both of which were made before the last council meeting. Since then, I've gotten the word from a fellow board member, twice personally, once publicly, stating that this person, although personally against these motions, would at least support the democratic process and let the people have a say on this matter. And that's what it's coming down to. What I am proposing, black and white, straightforward, is the fact that what we're trying to do here is give the people, the residents, the voting members of this community, the chance to vote yes or no on this. That's it. That's it. A yes vote is for democracy and allow the people to have a say. A no vote is telling the residents that you are unwilling to give them a voice. Now that can be for a couple different reasons. You either think that the residents are incompetent and unable to make proper and informed decisions as to what direction they want this community to pursue, or you're stating that council has not done their homework and or is incompetent and unable to put together and draft a proper, robust ordinance that would permit with regulation these facilities while ensuring the safeguards of the general welfare of this community. That's it. There's really no other explanation. Hey, stop, don't interrupt. For 2 years.
First of all, hey, please, he has the floor.
For 2 years now.
He has the floor.
For two years now.
Rob, come on.
For 2 years now, this council has discussed this topic in one manner or another. One manner or another. That included 2 6-month moratoriums. There was actually a gap in between, so it was even more than that. So that's over a year. Since then, there were 2 town halls on this matter. Attorneys were there. Business representatives were there to answer any and all questions council members had. Actually, the 2 members of the council that voted no on all the matters, I believe, don't quote me on this, I'm not sure exactly about Chandler about one of the meetings, but I don't believe they were present at either town hall.
Yes, I was.
You were there at one?
Mr. Benny Kirkhoff, if I may,
Okay, this is
Oh, I
another
make a
topic. I'm getting to the
motion that
point.
we
I'm getting to the
extend
point.
the
I'm getting to the point.
meeting.
yeah, but we're gonna have to extend.
I make a motion to extend the meeting till 11 o'clock, and no later than 11 o'clock.
10.
We have many items, and if we finish earlier, it's obviously we'll just conclude at that time.
Second.
Been properly moved and supported that we extend the meeting to 11 o'clock. My eyes start closing. Any questions on the motion?
Hold on, motion was made. Oh, sorry, to extend it. You're tired too.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
2 6-month moratoriums, 2 town halls, the attorneys and business representatives made themselves readily available to answer any and every question. They made themselves readily available to anybody and everybody of council members that had any inquiries after the meetings. You could have emailed them, you could call them, their cards were ready at hand. There was a business developer who owns a grow facility who invited everybody on council to come tour their property. There was a motion made, I made a motion to have our attorney draft an ordinance, a robust ordinance that addressed each and every one of the medical marijuana facilities. And then thereafter, and that was just for advisory and for contemplation purposes, thereafter for council to hash and slice and dice and add to it and justify and modify and tweak, and maybe not even to consider doing anything with it thereafter, but just merely to bring an ordinance, which I actually had a robust 30-page, I think it was, ordinance from another community that I just needed to slap on his lap and say, hey, can you just take out their name, put our name in there, revise a couple titles and whatnot. I made that motion. That didn't pass. They didn't gain support. There's all sorts of accusations made saying, well, we're not informed. It's been on discussion matter for 2 years. For 2 years. We had moratoriums in which our attorney, unfortunately, at the time when I was supposed to look into the matter and report to council. If you weren't satisfied with the fact that he didn't really do his homework on that, which I'm not, you could have expressed your dissatisfaction and asked for more research. Apparently that wasn't done. Here we are 2 years later, and all that's being asked is for the people of this community to be able to make a decision on a November ballot, yes or no, and thereafter, if they vote yes, for the council then to construct a robust ordinance that permits with regulation of these two facilities, while safeguarding the general welfare of this community. Again, I can't stress enough. A vote against this is a vote against democracy. A vote for this is a vote to allow people to have their say. So with that in mind, I'll read my motions. I make the motion that the Village of New Haven place the following yes or no ballot. I have a third motion actually, by the way. I make a motion that the Village of New Haven place the following yes or no ballot measure on the November 7th election ballot. Shall the Village of New Haven permit with regulation the establishment of and operation of a limited quantity of medical marijuana growers within the village limits pursuant to Michigan Public Act 281 of 2016?
Second.
Been properly moved and supported that the question be put on the ballot to support the growers.
Well, that's not even the exact word. It's not to support them. It's to allow the residents to vote yes or no
On
medical marijuana growers.
growers, okay. I was just trying to clarify which ones.
One, correct. One.
Any questions on the motion?
Is there a deadline that you have to meet that has to be done in November?
In order to get it on the November election, there is a deadline before August, I believe, and that's when the approved minutes have to be turned in.
So the deadline is you want it done by November?
That's what the motion is, yes.
Okay, no, I'm just saying, do you have a deadline where this must be done by November?
No.
Okay. A lot of residents today brought up some really good points when they were talking about the impact this would have on the community. They want a voice in this. They want to be able to say, we think this is good for our community, we don't think this is good for our community. And I think that as elected officials, our responsibility is to exercise due diligence. We owe them a full measure of due diligence. Clinton Township today just formed a committee to explore the ramifications of hosting these types of facilities. And a lot of residents said, we were blindsided by this, we didn't know. We don't know what's going on. And we're all familiar, those of us that were engaged in the landfill fight, remember the agenda said community development, boom, and surprise, it was landfill. So my recommendation would be that unless there is some overarching pressing need that this must be done by November, that we give the residents every measure of our attendance and our homework that we can give them in forming a committee like Clinton Township has done, like Chesterfield has done, like New Baltimore has done, Sterling Heights did it, Warren did it, Detroit, they're still doing it. I don't think that we should be tossing a grenade at the residents and yelling, tag you're it, and running away. We need to let them know this thing could go kabloom, or we should let them know, hey, this could be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But we owe a full measure of due diligence to the residents of this community, and we owe them a voice. And what I'm going to recommend to council is that all 5 initiatives be suspended for now until a committee is formed comprised of both council and the residents. So that we do our homework, we argue back and forth, and in a mailing to the residents, several meetings to the residents, we can give them the information they deserve to make an informed choice. Right now, I don't think anybody in this room or on this council has all of the tools necessary to make a decision like this. This is an impactful industry. So my recommendation would be, let's do our homework. And let's give the residents what they elected us to do. And give them a voice on whether they want this in their community or not. So that would be my recommendation.
Respectfully,
There's a motion on the table.
Respectfully, that's, and
Any other questions on the motion?
If I may, especially since it's been my name that's been thrown around on this subject as far as giving my word, maybe not from trustee Vanderkoof, but from members of the audience. Yes, it's very true. I gave Dan my word when we were talking about these ballot measures, that I thought it would be a good idea to put it to ballot. Since doing that and since posting on Facebook, the response that I've gotten has been completely overwhelming. I've joked with other council members that I didn't get, this is going to be on TV or recorded on YouTube, but that I didn't get a lot of work done at work because I was so inundated with messages, with calls, making phone calls myself, reaching out to Lombardo, reaching out to the Macomb County Sheriff's Department, and trying to get as much information as possible. So I completely disagree with Trustee Vanderkoof that a no vote is a lack of confidence in the residents. I completely disagree that that a no vote is a lack of confidence in the council. In my case, if I were to vote no, my no vote would be in response to the numerous residents who reached out and have made it very, very clear that they don't want it on the ballot at all. And I feel that as being an appointed official, I do want to stress that I am unfortunately not an elected. I didn't have the people vote, and I hope that I can earn everybody's vote when the time comes. But as an appointed official, it is my responsibility to act in both the best interest of the village and also to field and to listen to the residents. And what I overwhelmingly am hearing is that they don't want it on the ballot. And so for that reason, that will be what would guide my vote.
You've had 2 years, Trustee Pridemore. Where were you? What were you doing? What sort of research? How come you still feel that we don't have enough?
Question on the motion.
Since I was the one that initiated
Whoa.
my moratoriums, I did my homework. I've been doing it.
There's a motion on the
No,
table.
they put something on.
No, you're throwing accusations
Yes.
around, and you're threatening people. You threatened me with a libel lawsuit.
Yes, because you libeled me.
No, I didn't. I said you were threatening. You're right. I'm buying into his insanity.
Yeah.
And yes, sue me for that.
Roll, please.
Trustee Vanderkoof?
Yep.
Oh,
I had
wait,
something to say.
question.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I've been vocal about, I've been supportive of having it be a vote of the people to find out whether or not we want to do this going forward. And I did that. We did that as a board last month. So even though I'm in support of the business as a whole, I have an issue with bringing this up 1 month, council voting on it, bringing it up another month again, bringing up another month, I mean, at some point, council has made their decision on this issue. So, I mean, that's where I have my issue with it. Not that I don't support the industry or how it is, but as a matter of procedure.
Roll, please.
Trustee Haziak?
Yes.
Trustee Capoli?
No.
Trustee Myson?
No.
Trustee Pridemore?
No.
President Milberg?
No.
Second motion. Second motion, I make a motion that the village of New Haven place the following yes or no ballot measure on the November 7th election ballot. Shall the village of New Haven permit with regulation to establish an operation of a limited number of medical marijuana provisioning centers within the village limits pursuant to Michigan Public Act 281 of 2016?
Support.
And properly moved and supported that we allow on the ballot a yes or no vote on provisioning centers. That's the correct subject. Any questions on the motion?
Statement on motion, again, if people are so confident that the naysayers are so overwhelmingly outnumbering the supporters of these motions, then again, what is the fear of putting it to a democratic vote and letting the people come out and actually show those numbers so we can put this issue to rest?
And what is the problem with delaying the vote so that the council and the residents can do their homework instead of being given 5 different initiatives within a 3-day period for instant review and passage because this must be on the November ballot? Again, this is an explosive industry, an explosive issue with the sands constantly shifting at all state and municipal levels. We owe our residents to give them the full measure of our due diligence. There's no gun to our head saying this has to be done by November. I firmly believe in the right of the people. I firmly believe in providing the people with the proper information so that they can make an informed decision. Blindsiding them with this right now and demanding an instant vote right now is reckless and poorly timed.
And if I may also comment too, one thing that I think needs to be taken into consideration that I believe the rest of the council is aware of is the packet of signatures which was sent around. There was a semi-recognizable business person who was named on the signature who had signed that packet, and when he found how that packet was going to be passed around, immediately asked for his signature to be removed. And I think that's worth noting. I don't know for sure how those people who signed those sheets really understood what they were signing or how it was going to be used. And so I think that's also worth taking into consideration.
Any other question on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Rykoff?
Yes.
Trustee Hazia?
Yes.
Trustee McCauley?
No.
Trustee Meissen?
No.
Trustee Pridemore?
No.
President Dilbert?
No.
For a motion, I make a motion to establish an exploratory committee to include members of the public to investigate and share publicly the pros and cons of permitting with regulation medical marijuana facilities within the village and examine and discuss the existing and potential language that would permit with regulation medical marijuana in municipalities pursuant to Public Act 281 of 2016.
Second.
It's been properly moved and supported that we establish a committee to, it was a mouthful.
Due diligence.
Make sure the clerk receives a copy of it.
Council and residents?
I think it did say,
Should I specify only number 7, of which 3 from the...
it would be free from council.
And so this committee would be similar to what was proposed, what's going on with Clinton Township and Chesterfield.
Any other questions on the motion? And should we specify in the motion 7 members, 5 members? 3 from council. 3 from council.
7?
It should be 4.
Yeah, 3, 7? 3 people residents? I don't know.
They can't do that.
Yeah, I think 7.
4.
And if we could include that in the motion, that it would be a 7-member.
7 to be voted on and approved by council next month.
We will appoint the 3 from this board tonight. And then we will solicit. Any other questions on the motion?
Well, who, again, who will approve the members of the public?
Most likely me.
I just want to comment that I thank Trustee Vanderkerk for bringing this motion forward. I think this is a good compromise that could be satisfactory to everybody. It gives everybody the chance to really have I hate to use the word due diligence because it keeps getting thrown around, but it gives everybody the chance to really fully understand and vet this out. This is still the board by the state of Michigan was just put into place last month or very recently. It still is a lot unknown, unfortunately, and I personally, at least, I just want to thank Trustee Vanderkerk for bringing this one forward. I know Trustee Pridemore was going to bring it forth otherwise, but I think this is a good compromise.
My opinion of the committee is it should be composed of diverse group of people. Somebody for, somebody against,
Oh, absolutely.
an interested business holder, you know, a resident. Otherwise, the committee won't do any good.
Trust me when I say, my committees are diverse.
I'm just wondering if someone's not.
But they're gonna be open meetings, so absolutely we have to encourage everybody.
It has to be an open
We
setting.
gotta encourage everybody to come.
Posted
Yeah,
in an open
absolutely.
setting.
Absolutely.
Any other question on the motion?
I apologize. Who supported it?
Mr. Hazen.
Thank you.
Roll, please.
Trustee Vanderkov?
Yes.
Trustee Mazia?
Yes.
Trustee McCollum?
Yes.
Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Frymark?
Yes.
President Dilbert?
Yes.
Can I also make a motion that until the committee meets and formulates something, a product to present to the residents, that we suspend the 3 initiatives that were passed at last month's meeting?
Smart.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can I motion to piggyback off of my agenda item?
Yeah, could we-
Did you make it a motion?
yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the implementation of the 3 initiatives passed at the May meeting.
Maybe I missed something. His motion for the committee has passed, right?
Right,
Yes.
You have a new motion that's not on the agenda?
right.
Good.
That's right,
Support.
Good, yes.
what I said.
Now, my question to the attorney is, would this need a formal rescinding of the votes?
Well, here's my off-the-cuff, since this has never happened before, and never on this subject before, okay? Here is my off-the-cuff legal, which I was going to make a big speech that as the attorney sitting up here now, I would never do, okay? Because you're open for second guesses all over the country. It would seem to me, by way of suggestion, that this board seems to be moving in the direction of a committee that will act in a reasonable period of time. If those motions hang out there, okay, the ones that have already been passed, if those things hang out there as passed, you may face litigation from one party or another that would suggest you have to go forward with it because you didn't rescind it. Then you're going to be working at cross purposes to each other. So my practical answer would be, they should be suspended for now. Let the committee act. If somebody wants to challenge that, that's the courthouse down the street, because I don't think there's precedent for this.
Would you recommend that for right now, we just re-vote on the issue?
Would that be cleaner? Yes.
You voted this in.
You can vote to rescind. That's how, listen, I was here when they, you know what, I always come at the best times. I was here when that ditch was going to be dug for the garbage to go in. And you guys rescinded that vote. Okay? And it held. So that much I know. This board can and has, by precedent, rescinded previous votes.
And I make a motion that we rescind the 3 initiatives that were passed, the 3 marijuana industry initiatives that were passed at the May meeting.
Support. We probably moved and supported that we rescind the 3 initiatives that were approved at the May meeting. Any questions on the motion? Any questions on the motion?
Does this require just a majority or just a single vote of affirmation on each person that voted for it, or does it require a across the board?
A majority of people, that's how we rescinded the landfill. Yeah. And I'm going on precedent of this village. That's how the landfill was rescinded.
Any other questions? Your vote is, I'm feeling good down there.
Yeah, do I call you second? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, call you second, I'll be last.
Yeah, I support it.
Thank you. All right.
No,
Really-
yeah,
I
I don't
apologize.
do that often.
Okay, thanks. All right.
It's important that we move on.
Who made the motion?
Roll, please.
Trustee Pridemore? Trustee Pridemore?
Yes.
President Milbert?
Yes.
Trustee Burkholey?
Yes.
Trustee Meissen?
Yes.
Trustee Rickerbo?
No.
Trustee Haziak?
Yes.
Motion carried.
SDU construction, the residents have been complaining about how long this project's been taking. I know we had an update a little while ago about the fact that it's been taking too very long, and there were some opinions expressed or implied. Where do we stand now? Do we have an expected finish date? Are things moving along properly as expected on the timeline that we agreed to? And/or do we have plans to go to court on this matter?
Okay, I'm going to answer 2 or 3 of those. And Tom, the engineer, is here. But the project we started last week, the first item was to lower some sewer connections that were coming out of the houses on Division Street because they were right in the path of the new work. And I know that the new 18-inch pipe, I believe 18-inch pipe, was delivered today. So when they're going to come back out, Tom, please.
I guess the one issue that they have to close down Haven Ridge for a portion because there's a manhole that goes there across the road. So I guess as soon as they are able to get those barricades in place and the detour route established, then the contractor said, actually it's Matt from Gillette that I talked to probably about 5 o'clock this afternoon, said he's ready to go once they get, the barricades and the road closure settled.
What do we need for the barricades? Anything specific?
Well, I was going to talk to Marcus actually after the meeting. I mean, whether we need a plan or if we can just verbally take care of it to keep it going, so.
I say we inform the fire department and the sheriff department, and if need be, I'll stand out there in my Speedos.
That's on the kid on the scene.
Well, that woke everybody up.
I'm here.
I mean, it's important that we get this done. This needs to get done. And we don't want no hold up. And like I said, if it's a DPW parking a truck across the street so that they all got to turn up help, that's what we'll do.
Okay, and say I talked to Matt this afternoon, and then I was going to talk to Marcus after, and probably schedule a meeting. We have the meeting tomorrow on the creek down for the sewer, so we can probably vote right after that.
Okay. Okay.
Is the timeline expected to be completed as?
The schedule that he gave us, Tom?
I'm guessing, I mean, I guess I've assumed a lot of things. It's probably, he should be able to do it in 6 weeks if he's timely in doing it.
For the whole project?
Yeah, I'm talking, the storm paving, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be 10.
Before winter?
Yes.
And as far as going into court, we've contacted the bond company, we've gone through all those steps, and they won't revoke the bond.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board as far as just the construction and going through the project? Mr. Chandler's not here. Anyone know what that was about? Fireworks ordinance.
Yes, sir. Fireworks ordinance, fielding some questions from some of our residents regarding what type of fireworks ordinances are in place. It was discovered that 258-4 Section E refers to the Michigan Penal Code, which previously was in regards to fireworks and how they were controlled and used. That penal code, Michigan Penal Code, has since been repealed by the Firework Act of 2011 or 2008. So bringing forth for discussion whether or not we decide to repeal this ordinance entirely or to replace it with another ordinance. And I also forwarded the council a link to Lennox Township's fireworks ordinance. Although it's a little lengthy, the actual gist of the ordinance is that fireworks are allowed to be fired off, ignited the day before, the day of, or the day after a national holiday from, I believe it was 8 a.m. to midnight, with the exception of New Year's Day from midnight to 1 a.m. in celebration of the New Year. So just wanted to bring this up and bring it to the attention. I don't know if we want to act on this at this point in time. And I do also want to recognize that regardless of how we act, it wouldn't affect 4th of July festivities or anything like that, because I don't think it would be something that would be put in place today.
I think we currently use the state of Michigan ordinance, the most recent state law that was put in place. I think that's what we currently go by, which is the day before, day of, the day after.
The searching that I did for the Michigan State law left the regulation of ignition of the fireworks up to the municipalities.
I think it's more recent.
Is there?
Because you were quoting what year?
2011, I think it was.
That could have been around, I thought it was more recent than that. And I know the fire chief was, the assistant fire chief was, he was taking a look at the ordinance also, and trying to gather some information. Okay, what's your pleasure?
Discussion yet? Second? Personally, quick question if you'd like to fill it, is have you looked into and do we have a noise ordinance currently? And or would the nuisance ordinance cover noises?
It's a good question. I have not looked into that. I don't know if the noise ordinance would necessarily cover that or not.
So that's something to look into. The other comment that I'd like to make is, although I have actually, probably more than a year ago, I looked into it because other people were mentioning it, and I did also look at Lennox Townships, and I did think that it was very well structured. It looked pretty solid and to the point and clear. So if that's the rule of council, I would say, yeah, definitely try to model it after Lennox's. I thought it was very good. Personally, I don't think that it's an efficient way to go about solving this. If you just want something on the record, on paper, to say that you're going after them, you're trying to, make sure that, no children are woken up at, 9 p.m. on a school night or something like that. If you're just looking to get something on paper that says that you're trying to do what you got to do, I understand that. But I really doubt the effectiveness in the enforcement of this ordinance. Again, our code enforcer he's paid $500 a month. He comes out on not a case-by-case basis. He does patrol, but he's not like doing 8-hour days or anything like that, let alone especially at nighttime and whatnot. So it's basically going to be enforced by the sheriff's department. Even the sheriff's department, we got one car going around. By the time you got various types of people. You got people that abide by, they know the ordinances and they abide by them. Those people, for the most part, aren't going to be the ones, your troublemakers, that this ordinance is going to affect anyway. You're not going to solve the problems with those people. You got the other people that know the ordinances and say, to hell with it, I'm going to do it anyway. You're not going to affect those people either. And then you got the people who are relatively rational-minded people that might actually, that are going to abide by the ordinances, that unfortunately, as the way that the direction of the Lennox Township one is going, it's well structured, but I think it's short-sighted. And it doesn't account for many reasonable, rational reasons and purposes at certain times in people's lives and whatnot that they might respectfully light off a few fireworks to celebrate a marriage, return home from one of their, people serving in the armed forces, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A million different reasons, birthday party or something like that, that they, you know, they let their neighbor know, hey, I'm just gonna be doing this. Maybe they do it at 9:30, maybe they do it at 10, once a year, maybe once every 3 or 4 years, 5 years. And you're going to be affecting those people that are otherwise reasonable, rational people that might just want to light it off, you know, at a somewhat later point in time, and they're not going to do that now, and I think that's a shame. You're not going to affect the people who say to hell with it anyway. You're probably not even going to catch them. The police aren't going to be responding within 30 seconds and catching them. People who say to hell with it, they're going to light it off, they're going to pack up and go in. I don't think the effectiveness of the enforcement of this ordinance is going to do anything. I really don't. I like Lennox Township's wording. I've looked at it. It's awesome. If you just want something on paper, by all means, go for it. I don't think it's going to be a solution to any issues that you're having.
But again, if you don't have the tools in place.
Right, we need it on paper.
Should that officer go down the street and like that, pardon my French, people, booger-eating moron that blew off, what was that M80 at 11 o'clock at night, I thought a house blew up. Unless we have the effective tools in place, the officer will be able to cite them.
And again, I would just stress that we should probably review our noise ordinance, if we have a noise ordinance and/or the nuisance ordinance prior to it, because I think that might address that as well.
People are actually being cited for violations of noise ordinances because of the magnitude of the fireworks that they're using. But I think we need to have something in place. So I think we should have the attorney review maybe the Lennox Township one and tweak it for you even.
Yeah, short term, I think it would even be beneficial just to vote on repealing what we currently have, just because it's effective as it is. Maybe long term, we can look at.
Do we know the ordinance number we have here?
The ordinance number is 258-4, Section E, which is actually under the fire regulations.
And that's our ordinance number, right? Okay. I make a motion that we repeal ordinance 258-4, Section E regarding fireworks in the village of New Haven.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that we repeal ordinance number 258, section -4, section E. And this is the one that contradicted the state authority.
Yeah, just for sake of the technical contracts.
Any questions on the motion?
This being done with the understanding that next month we'll come back with something.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're still under the state rules.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Freiberg?
Yes.
Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Foley?
Yes.
Trustee Mexico?
No.
Trustee Etienne?
Yes.
Trustee Gilbert?
Yes. Resolution.
Excuse me, can I make a motion? I make a motion that the attorney review the Lennox Township fireworks ordinance for implementation of the village of New Haven.
I just wrote it out to myself to do it, so I'm not texting back and forth. This is too much stuff.
You're looking at Netflix.
Yeah.
Supported.
It's been probably moved as important that the attorney take a look at the Lennox ordinance and bring back the draft. Any question on the motion? All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution, New Haven Historical Society. Madam Clerk, did you get a copy?
Oh, yeah.
And do we have a number?
Yep, 17-005.
And would you like to read it?
Recognition and acknowledgement of Lennox New Haven Historical Society. Whereas Sabre Depot Inc., DBA Lennox New Haven Historical Society is a nonprofit corporation incorporated in the state of Michigan and is certified 501c3, federal certified nonprofit organization whose address is 58585 Victoria Street, and whose membership is open to the public. And whereas the New Haven Historical Society has continuously advocated, supported, and pursued actual acquisition and restoration of historical buildings and collection of historic artifacts for the community for more than 25 years, and presently operate a museum. And whereas the Lennox New Haven Historical Society desires a formal recognition as the accepted historical society of the village. And whereas significant public relations benefits can accrue from a formal relationship between the historical society and the village. And whereas no other organization with similar credentials is at this time known to exist within the village. And whereas any inferred or perceived liability on the part of the historical society or the village is specifically waived and mutually agreed by each party. Now therefore be it resolved that effective immediately, the Lennox New Haven Historical Society shall be recognized as a single officially recognized historical society representing the village of New Haven and shall continue until specifically terminated by written notice from either party.
Did I get the short version?
Oh, see?
Yeah, that one was the one presented last month.
Yeah, this is Mr. Ward here, so.
Where did we get it?
Okay.
I didn't see. That's the one.
I don't know why.
Separated, it's a good one.
I know, I'm gonna speed reading really fast and maybe this one or
Sorry.
All right, here we go. Resolution recognizing Lennox New Haven Historical Society. Whereas Lennox New Haven Historical Society is registered assumed name of Sabre Depot Inc., 58585 Victoria Street, New Haven, Michigan, Lennox New Haven Historical Society. Whereas Lennox New Haven Historical Society is a 501c3 Michigan nonprofit corporation with membership open to the public. Whereas Lennox New Haven Historical Society consistently operates a museum and actively advocates acquisition and restoration of historical buildings as well as the acquisition and collection of historical artifacts. Whereas the Village of New Haven recognizes the significance of the acquisition, collection, and maintenance of historical artifacts and property within the village by a private entity without the contribution of taxpayer funds. Now, therefore, be it resolved that while Lennox New Haven Historical Society continues in the functions identified above, it shall be recognized as the official historical society of the Village of New Haven.
I make a motion to accept the resolution as presented. Resolution number 17-0005.
Support.
And probably moved and supported that resolution number 17-005 be accepted.
Question. Are there any other historical societies in New Haven?
Not that I know of.
I think it's a formality, so that they can present that to other entities for funding, federal funding and stuff.
Right, but there's a responsibility in designating any one entity as the official. Was there any kind of responsibility that the village has in oversight that they declared the official historic, or is this just a?
Back in the day, back a few years back, there were individuals who lived here who have since passed on that we considered our historians, like Laura Falk and some of these other older ex-school teachers, retired, 80, 90 years old, who knew the history. And I think we just consider them our historians per se. But as far as a recognized historical society, I have never heard of one.
Okay. Does the village, if it doesn't recognize it, and I support the Historical Society, the wonderful work they're doing in the train station, but is there a responsibility now placed upon the village in recognition that this is the official?
I can't imagine what that would be. I'm going to give you a common sense answer. I can't imagine what that would be.
Okay.
And I always imagine that we could change it. Resolutions are made and resolutions are withdrawn and resolutions are changed.
Yeah, I'm just worried about.
Yeah, I know you're in support. They've done the work. That resolution has been earned. Everybody wanted it and I drew it up. And that's my best answer. If I find out otherwise, I'll come back here and tell everybody we're wrong.
Okay.
Any other question on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Franco?
Yes.
Trustee Trustee Myson?
Yes.
Trustee Burkholly?
Yes.
Trustee Gaziak?
Yes.
Trustee Kreidler? President Hilster?
Yes. New business.
Okay. Legal representation, so I hate to put you on the spot, Attorney Addis, but I'll try to make it short and sweet, although I do have a clear statement if I need to. I personally have been dissatisfied with who has, what's the word I'm looking for, implied or not specifically stated, but through his historical, basically, I have not been satisfied for years actually now with Attorney Assorti's legal representation of the village. That being said, I don't expect you to comment on that. However, you're sitting here next to us at this point in time. Attorney Assorti is not. Can you, at this point in time, confirm to the council that Attorney Assorti is no longer the appointed attorney for the village of New Haven, and that from this point forward, we will have a different assigned attorney from APA law firm representing the village?
Well, yeah, let me answer it this way. And you're right, I appreciate the consideration. I'm not going to sit here and discuss whether or not Mr. Assorti does or does not do a good job. In my opinion, he's always done a great job. That doesn't mean you're satisfied and you're the client. You are all the client. But this question's been answered. A couple months ago, I stood at that podium and told you that the representation of this township was by APA law. And that's what it is. Mr. Assorti is not part of APA law. Mr. Assorti has been working to withdraw himself from APA law's clients. The lawyer just can't change jobs and tell his clients goodbye and good luck. He has an ethical duty to withdraw in an orderly fashion and get someone prepared to step into his spot. That's what APA law is attempting to do. I'm here tonight. I think the next time, and I always come to the meetings whenever I can, but I am a litigator and I do litigation for you guys too, and sometimes I can't be here. But there will be a different person. Mr. Assorti is not going to appear at New Haven meetings anymore. The crush of his own business now is not going to allow it. So it's a problem that's going to solve itself. So the answer is yes, he's not going to be here.
Now, a question, if we're going to have a rotating panel of attorneys coming here, I'm kind of wondering about the impact.
No, not going to be a rotating panel.
Okay.
I am selecting to join the APA law firm, a person that I want to be able to work with me and my clients. I haven't done this since I did it 30-some years ago for Warren. Okay? And I swore I'd never do it again, and of course I lied to myself, because here I am again. But I want to get someone who can dedicate themselves to the technicalities of some of the questions we were asked here tonight. It's a whole new game. I'm not sure their answers would be any different. But someone who does this on a basis, and I will also be at the meetings whenever possible, as I often was when Tom was here. So that, but I would like to have someone that you can count on for every meeting, every special session, whether I'm available or not. And that's just being honest with you. Because I'm a dual role lawyer. I spend a lot of time in courts, and not all the courts are in the state or county.
But there will be someone that we can establish a working
Absolutely.
relationship
It's going to
with.
be someone that you're going to establish a working relationship with. And if they don't work, I'll bring somebody else. In the meantime, it's going to be me until I'm satisfied with someone that can do it. And you guys are satisfied too. Does that answer?
I give it just want to put it more clearly. So from this point forward, this village will not have Thomas Assorti sitting at the table with us for any
That's correct.
meetings.
I didn't think that was the answer.
Okay, that was a long answer.
Yeah, because they're,
That's correct. But Mr. Assorti has come under what I consider to be a lot of unfair fire in the newspapers, and the paper lies still while it's being printed. So I really don't want to wake up tomorrow and hear the words, New Haven fires Tom Assorti, because that's not what happened.
okay. Ms. Ballinger, is she still here?
Yes, thank you.
I just want to point out to the talking, so.
Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
10:40. Only 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, it's only 10:40. Well, most of you know me, and we've had the opportunity to talk between a lot of you. So I work in the Macomb County real estate market quite prevalently, and I had the pleasure of attending an open house event with Clearview Homes, who I've worked with in the past as a developer. And they had mentioned that they were interested in the development that Lombardo has had so much success in recently, and that they were interested in purchasing some land maybe here to continue that development on their behalf. But the land holdings are scarce. Lombardo holds quite a lot of the New Haven property, whether in their own name or in shell companies. And so on behalf of Clearview Homes, I guess, specifically because that's the developer that I've spoken to, I guess I just wanted to address you as to the holdings that the village of New Haven has, specifically the plat that at one point was Amherst West. And if it might at some point, hopefully in the near future, be a possibility to open that up for continued development, maybe with a developer that's not Lombardo, to diversify the development that's coming into town and to generate, some additional revenue for the village that I think it sounded like most of the residents were open to, continuing to see that development as opposed to continuing to have particularly that piece of property, but any others that may also be held generating money as opposed to continuing to be a liability to the city in terms of maintenance and a really lost revenue. It's tax exempt at this point, so nothing's being paid in on it. We just have the money that has been put out and again, the continuation of maintenance for the property. So for each of you, I've prepared a folder that includes kind of an overview of the actual parcel, which I color-coded. The color code is behind each of the maps that I've done for you. So pink is existing construction, purple is the proposed and approved platting for Amherst West, and then orange is the privately held vacant lots that are not held by the city and or obviously residents who are paying right now. There's currently 3 ownership levels within that privately held. One is held by an individual, the other 2 are held by either Lombardo Shell Companies, which is Manchester, and the 3rd would be Jack Otto's development company inside of the existing Amherst. And then from a revenue perspective, which would be your second tab, I essentially took the most recent uncapped tax assessment, which would have been at the end of 2015. The comparable home that I used for that was on Salt River. The sales price on that was $265,000, which I think a fully improved home right now in New Haven at a new construction base, that's right about what they'd be going for. In the Amherst West project specifically, not in regards to the vacant lots in Amherst itself, just the piece that the city currently owns. There are 139 proposed lots. So what I did is I took the potential revenue increases are essentially the mills on that latest uncapped property times out by the 139, which obviously would take a couple of years, a few years even, to really realize that potential. But the general fund of the village stands to profit from the sale of that property once it's fully developed, just shy of $110,000 for the general fund. Annually, the highway fund would be $44,000. The cemetery would be an additional almost $5,000 a year in revenue. Fire department shy of $35,000. School debt was at $84,000 and almost an additional $15,000 worth of funding to the library. In terms of community benefits, I didn't really go huge in depth. I think that if the development continues, there's potential for public amenities, maybe a park, future development that could be funded by some of the general fund income increases. But I think the bigger thing from a community benefit perspective is the sales that we're currently seeing in our subdivisions. And that's what I've actually outlined for you. When I first met Trustee Meeson, he had made a comment that he was the only one willing to take the chance and pay up on the property, and he owned the most expensive at that point. piece of property in Decor Park, and at that point, he was absolutely correct, but in February of this year, I sold the property at $5,000 above what he paid, and now we have properties coming up to $220,000. In Amherst, we have a sale within the past month at $205,000, which is, from a 10-year perspective, I mean, unprecedented. The prices that you're seeing Lombardo putting online at 183 and 193 and 200 are asinine. That's an unrealistic expectation. When buyers are going in and they're building properties with Lombardo, they're paying $250,000 because the $183,000 that's posted online doesn't include roof lighting, for example, things that make a home. So in that aspect, one of the reasons that I'd specifically like to consider Clearview Homes maybe in the future would be because their product is a fully upgraded product. I think part of the problem that we had during the recession is not only did we have unfinished new construction, we had unfinished new construction that didn't stand at a standard that the rest of the county did. We had new construction communities that had wood that wasn't holding up, that had laminate countertops which aren't to current new construction standards. I think it's great that we have the ownership in Acadia within Pembroke, but they're not building, just Lombardo is. And the fact of the matter is Lombardo is still pitching laminate countertops, Formica, laminate floors. They're not coming in and building their models, with the exception of the models. They're building a very base model that really isn't going to be updated and isn't going to sell long-term the same as something.
If I could interrupt you.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused. I thought we had a prospective interest in purchasing this vacant property.
We do.
Okay,
And
but
that
I'm
would
hearing
be-
there's a sales pitch for Clearview. Where's Clearview in their checkbook?
Sure. So what Clearview has asked is that we put a price on it because we haven't even thrown out a price to them.
Oh, because we haven't been formally asked for a
Sure.
price.
Yeah.
We will provide you a price,
Sure.
because I hear you slamming Lombardo and
Oh.
pitching Clearview.
I think it's great that Lombardo's building. I just think it would be
But I
great
think
if
it's great if
competition.
individuals would come with their checkbook and
Sure.
a legitimate interest in
Sure.
purchasing the property.
So your next step is market value?
Because all this right here about market values and all this other stuff is 1045.
I understand.
Okay, so we will get an appraisal on that property and make it available,
Perfect.
Can I ask you a quick question?
please.
Okay. I looked at the paperwork, Clearview's got all the upgrades, wonderful, they're standard, good for them. The property in question no longer belongs to Amherst?
No, it's owned by the village.
Okay, so if it belongs to the village, then Clearview would be able to continue using the same model that is in Amherst, so that the residents in Amherst don't get a jolt?
I think that would be the smartest way to continue. I think it would look abnormal to build something that was separate from that, and they are adjacent and attached. In addition, I think the builder sees value in the fact that the plat was already approved at one point, so they could step into that footprint
So
and
we're
just
pretty
carry
far
on.
along in the process, and now it's at the point where, okay, thank you.
I
Thank you for waiting.
think there's a PUD in place for that property.
Quick question? I know that you're a realtor, that's why, that's partially why you're aware of this and why you presented to us today. Are you proposing, do we have any relation with you? Are you proposing that you be involved in this particular specific?
I live in New Haven. I'm just proposing that we continue the development, and anything that I can do to help that, I'd love to do, but it's not me requesting a commission. I don't work for Clearview Homes. They have their own agents that are hired to work on their behalf. There's not a financial gain for me to be here tonight and give you the presentation, other than I live here, I have a vested interest in seeing the community succeed, and I'd like to see where we can take it from there. And I'd like to see some competition. Again, I'm happy that Lombardo's back like any other resident, but I think competition breeds greatness, and seeing them have to step their game up because they have competing builders would be nice.
Absolutely. And full disclosure, we're on our zoning board, correct?
I am on the ZDA, yes.
Motion to put forth for an appraisal? or-
No, I'll order one.
I make a motion, we extend the meeting by 15 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes. Go.
Friendly amendment, half hour, might be
We still have 10 minutes.
Okay, all right. Oh, I'm counting.
Vehicle storage ordinance.
Yeah, okay, so this is discussion only unless we do want to take action. In review, there's a property, I'm just going to say where it's at. It's the parcel, I think it's the same parcel, but it's the business that's adjacent to the New Haven Coney Island there. They have a U-Haul business going on that's recently popped up and whatnot. They do have a fenced-in lot in the back, which actually has its own question marks as to did they jump through the appropriate channels of getting that approved and whatnot. However, the fence is there, and yet they have all these U-Hauls and a couple other things strewn about in the front of their property there, clearly on view of Gratiot. It looks cluttered, it looks bad. In reviewing the ordinances, particularly as relates to zoning, particularly as relates to general business, I think is how they're zoned, it's kind of a gray area. And even as I look into, and I'm even considering special land uses and other potential, I'm just trying to find what area in our zoning addresses U-Haul storage and or as relates to other properties, because a little bit south of there's another one. Ryan and Sons, I believe.
Chris is addressing that.
Yep.
Because they didn't.
Correct. But they're making progress, but it's been slow, and actually our prior code enforcement officer can address them. But in any case, whether it be large businesses on Gratiot or even some other places, smaller places, there's an abundance of vehicles being stored. And whether or not our zoning ordinances address them or not, which, I mean, I think there's some areas, whether it be zoning or other ordinances, which can apply toward it. It's a little bit ambiguous, a little vague. But I think we can address it, and I've been working with Chris on that as well, and we'll continue to. But I think to clear things up, it might be in the best interest of our community. And I've seen other ones. It's been a while since I visited this, about a year ago. Other municipalities do have great ordinances on the storage of vehicles, particularly, especially in commercial lots and business, however it's zoned and whatnot. I think it might be in our best interest to settle the matter and make, I hate resorting to making a new ordinance. I wish it was clarified.
Have you had a conversation with him recently?
I did, yeah.
I think we got one.
What's that?
An ordinance about vehicle storage.
There's one about junk vehicles, and even that, but it's like, it might actually be
The
interesting.
trailers weren't in there?
Trailers are in there as well, yeah.
Because they're placed by the old Union Hall. That looks horrible.
Yeah.
And he's got trailers.
And he's supposed to have no outside storage.
Is the code enforcement officer
He's
addressing that as well?
he's running ragged right now.
But I do believe there's some holes and or patchwork that should be looked into and or just straight up complete new ordinance that addresses the storage of vehicles, whether for sale, for repair, or otherwise, on commercial lots as well as possibly personal lots and vacant lots, et cetera.
Did he tell you that he was bringing forward some new language on some of these old ordinances that he find that aren't?
Chris Benjamin?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, because he's reaching back to Macomb where and he's trying to see what's in their ordinance that may benefit the village.
I was supposed to call, I'll probably be calling him tomorrow, last communication I have, just to touch base with him, but, no, he didn't know about that. But, I guess I'll talk to him on that, but perhaps next month if if there does seem to be some inconsistencies and he's not getting as much progress, I might be coming to ask him for something like that.
Okay. Call from the floor.
Robert Pennell. There was talk of the sidewalks and replacing those. But I didn't hear a comment about replacing it how. Because a lot of the sidewalks in certain areas of the village are this wide. Will the sidewalks be upgraded to what a standard sidewalk is in today's standard so that two people can walk along it?
It's going to be 5 foot. The current ordinance is 5 foot.
Okay, so they'll bring those up to the current standards. I also heard the talk of not taking bonds. In my past experiences, we held a great deal of money in bonds for the streets of the newer subdivisions. The administrator at that time, before bolting, signed off a check and gave them back all their money. The roads were left a disaster in those new subs. I'm sure if you drive through them, a lot of them have not changed because what was destroyed was because of the construction traffic that was done on those roads at that time, and that money should have came back into the village. So I'm not quite sure how you're talking about bonds, if it's for a $300 fence or bonds for large projects.
No, building permits,
Okay, great.
just a standard building permit that you or I would pull.
Okay, for a residential.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There is, and they're not going to like this question, but I just want to have it put on the verbal record from Mark Hasek, and if I'm pronouncing him wrong, I apologize, trustee, and trustee Daniel, and I always got your name, I'm sorry. But Daniel Vanderkoff?
D is good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Not so much over here, but I just wanted to answer it on the record. Do you have, and because I don't think that you've kept the marijuana industry at arm's length as a councilman, I think you've kind of jumped right in there and put your fingers all over it. Have you made any promises? Have you taken any trips, vacations, gifts? I absolutely want it on the record because it is something that has happened right here in this village, and two guys, one's already gone to jail and one's probably singing like a bird.
One has not gone to jail.
This is
So-
not appropriate.
Well, I would just like to know, in open forum, if anything in any way, shape, or form has come their way because of that, and put it on the record. Because the passion for it is more than any other issue I've ever seen, even the dome.
The passion to allow you to vote on it?
Yeah, passion to allow the residents to do that work. So I would like a yes or no if you don't mind.
They will not be responding. They will not be responding. All your questions are directed toward me.
Okay, and you're not going to let them respond?
I can't prevent them to respond,
Oh, okay.
but your questions are directed toward me
Okay,
as the chair. This is called from the floor.
Yeah.
You're not on the agenda, so your questions and statements are directed toward the chair.
okay.
And I would strongly suggest that no one around this table ever responds from call from the floor. That's not the purpose of it.
But would you allow me?
No.
No.
Okay. Answers a lot of questions for me.
Richard Duplank. I was actually going to walk out of here, but decided it was against my best interest. I had addressed all you council members last year, the end of the season, about our village lawnmowers and our DPW driving up and down our sidewalks. We have ordinances against motor vehicles on sidewalks. That maybe we should buy them a trailer. Marcus says, well, we didn't ask for a trailer, so whatever. He still has, he has one trailer for 3 or 4 lawnmowers. They're still driving down sidewalks. When is something you're gonna wait until somebody gets hurt on the sidewalk because our village DPW people would rather just drive their lawnmowers down the sidewalk? That is for pedestrians.
Okay. Thank you.
Will we ever get an answer, Cody? Your DPW director won't give me an answer?
I would just like to thank you guys all for reconsidering the marijuana stuff, for forming the committee. I would like to share some personal knowledge regarding Robert's rules that govern your guys' process up here. I believe that the motion that you guys made to rescind your vote on the previous 3 measures was supposed to come from the prevailing side, is the only person that can bring it back at the next agenda or at the next council meeting. And I believe you voted no on all 3 measures, and you're the one that made the motion, so I don't believe that part of that is legal, so I would urge you to maybe look into that a little bit further, because I am dealing with litigation against Royal Oak on a similar
Okay, why
type
wait?
of thing.
Why wait? Who was on the side that carried it?
I just
No, do it right
recommendation
now.
for you guys.
I suggest you do it right now.
I don't know if Robert's rules allows a motion to be made during the council meeting.
Okay, then we'll do it next time.
Just recommendation, just because I do have some personal experience.
I'm sure you're accurate, but we'll find out.
Check into it, please. Thank you.
Seems like you should be able to act.
Somebody's coming in?
No, here real quick. Thanks for doing the whole committee thing, great move. I think everybody on both sides is going to be agreeing with that. I'd like to propose a couple recommendations for people on the committee. Andy Rozek, 1. A school board member, number 2. Mr. Kress, number 3. And then somebody else who's on the, just regular old resident who's in support of it. So, or I didn't mean in support of the marijuana business. So, you got Andy in the opposition, school board in the opposition, Mr. Kress 4, and then somebody else 4. Just a quick suggestion, that's all.
It's Drake.
Thank you. I'd like to first just thank the board for completing finally our resolution. And I await the framed gold length copy so we can hang it on and give all you guys credit if you would all maybe sign it. We would appreciate who signed the resolution. So thank you for that. The only other thing I'd like to just to bring up, I think it may present a problem because of some past precedences regarding your sidewalk plan. And I think I mentioned it back at the time, some years ago, a lot of the sidewalk repairs, not new sidewalks, but sidewalk repairs, were done with CDBG funds, and to that extent were publicly funded. I don't know if any general funds, village general fund monies went into that. But, and given that that has occurred, and we know that there are the new sidewalks that have been constructed by, public funds. And given that that happened, I think you might have some complaint regards to that when you try to enforce your new sidewalk upgrades, when some people are getting free sidewalk replacements in the past, and now I'm going to have to buy my own. So that's food for thought. Thank you.
Call from the floor.
I want to thank you all. This has been very informative. I'm going to have to come to more of these. Just to retouch on the medical marijuana thing, people are concerned about their children. I have kind of knowledge that these kids in these schools are on way more drugs, prescription drugs, than any of us. And I don't see how bringing a medical marijuana facility into the community is going to be that damaging to our psyche of our children. I would rather have a medical marijuana facility than a bar. Thank you.
Call from the table. Okay.
Sorry.
9 o'clock.
I'll take 1 minute. Sheila Manning. I'd like to make a motion that I be appointed to the committee to find the facts and the figures and do the due diligence to educate the residents so that they can make a well-informed decision when this is put on the ballot. And I'd like to give you my contact information in order to do that, Mr. Diller. Thank you.
Call from the floor. Call from the table. Ready? Go on.
Well, if nobody else. Number 1, this past Saturday, the river cleanup and whatnot, Genevieve Browsick, I believe, kind of put that together, so big thank you to that. So they improvements of the municipal grounds and the wood chips and whatnot. And Haven Place, I guess, on the same day, I don't know if you want, but they were taking care of their park that was designated to them. So big round of applause for them. Number 2, the medical marijuana issue. As to be expected. Well, that's what it is.
We need to formally extend the meeting.
Make a motion to extend the meeting for 20 minutes. Well, we finish in 2, we finish in 2.
Come on, Ian.
Who seconded it?
No second.
I'll support it.
Thank you.
Megan, good.
Bye.
I'll respect the 3
Okay.
minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No,
Opposed?
me.
I just want to make it clear, there were 28 states plus the Washington DC, our nation's capital, that passed ordinances that actually, or I'm sorry, state statutes that actually permit the legalization of medical marijuana and or recreational marijuana. So the stigma that everybody in here is so afraid of that's going to put a screeching halt to home sales apparently is not in the majority of this nation's populace. So that basically states that home sales will not necessarily drop off a cliff, and in fact, housing development and medical marijuana are not mutually exclusive factors that we can pursue. The stigma here is not the fact that medical marijuana is a harmful, terrible, horrible, community dilapidating thing to embrace. More so, the stigma that I'm worried about is the fact that New Haven has now shot down proposals, multiple proposals, whether they be justified or not. There's been, like, example, the Dome project. I agree it was a terrible, horrible business model, and whatnot. It was a good idea to shoot it down. However, that still stands in our history as shooting down big ideas that otherwise the community could benefit from. So this, once again, will show how closed-minded, backwards, and not with the times the village of New Haven is, and that also bears a stigma to it. And that's what I'm worried of more so. Again, I want to stress that a gentleman here owns an industrial piece of land, has not been able to sell it in recent years and whatnot. Nobody's come to develop on it. It's not adjacent to home schools, churches. It's tucked away. The developer wants to come and build on it, wants to be tucked away, mind their own business, no advertisements, no signs, high security, background checks on everybody coming there, on just 3 acres of land, wants to build a facility that has a taxable value of $9.5 million, what I saw in the email. Times that by 16.75 millage rate, and as I calculated, it seems to, just from the taxable value, would increase our revenue in the village at a rate of $150,000. That's for one facility on 3 acres of property. And we decided no. Again, this has been on the agenda one way or another for 2 years now. There were 2 town halls on it. You had attorneys, you had business representatives able to answer any questions.
Mr. B, we've heard all this.
Yes, I have. I'm just reiterating it. I'm trying to stick to 3 minutes, cut me off if I want. So I just want to stress that. I think it's a huge disservice, and I want everybody here who voted to say no to the people, I want them to be able to go back and answer them why they voted no to giving the voice to the people. Do they believe that they're incompetent, the voters are incompetent, or do they feel like council is incompetent and unable to make a solid resolution that actually permits with regulation while keeping in mind the safeguards to protect the welfare of the community and its stakeholders and residents?
Call from the table, I have 2 things. I have 1. I need 2 volunteers, 2 that would like to volunteer to be on this medical marijuana. Trustee Pradmore and Trustee V and myself, and you're going to chair it.
Okay.
And then I will come up with the 4 residents, and we will schedule our first get-together as soon as possible. And the other thing is, on the River Days, we're going to try to schedule, because of the condition of the Shook drain, they spent half a day, and I think they managed 20 feet. I mean, got everything but the kitchen sink came out of there. We're gonna try to get together with the Boy Scouts and DPW and have like at least twice a year, see if we can make more progress. What they did last weekend, at least the water is starting to flow up under the Victoria Street Bridge, even though the culvert is probably 50% full of sediment. There's a lack of flow. So we're going to try to do a fall cleanup also. They just stay in that one area and keep working our way. And I had a discussion with the county yesterday. They're going to try to start working this way so we can somehow meet up somewhere down the road.
One other quick thing, Ways and Means Committee, I'd like us to meet in July if possible, and I'd like us to start focusing on seeing if we could reduce the water bills even incrementally on the residents. So if that's okay, guys, let's think about a date, okay?
And the blue pens that you're placing tonight are compliments from Simcon, so they're yours to take.
Too late, you're too old. I make a motion that we adjourn.
Payola, watch out.